order the meeting of the New Orleans Municipal Yacht Harbor for Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. We'll do roll call. Keisha Turquie is not here. She notified she's running a little bit late. Tim McConnell, present. Chris Hammond. Present. Jessica Addison will not make the meeting. She notified us. Keith Amaker.
Aye.
Mark Heck. Dr. Criddle.
Present.
Roger Watkins said he would be running a little late. We have 5 people present. We have a quorum. We're ready to start. I would like a motion to approve the agenda. Well, do I have any amendments to the agenda? Seeing no amendments, I'd ask for a motion to approve the agenda. As published, the agenda is moved. Second? Second by Heck. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Agenda approved. Presentation of the agenda. Approval of the minutes from the November 14th, 2023 meeting. Sent to everyone. Do I have any, we'll start with a motion to approve the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes with necessary corrections should there be any.
Motion by Hammond, second. Second by Heck. Any, open for discussion, any proposed changes to the minutes from last month? None, hearing none. Motion to approve the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion to approve the minutes from November 14th is approved. All right, action items. The next item on the agenda, we have a resolution to approve the municipal yacht harbor staff to route an ordinance related to the documents of the city council for the lease of boathouses. In this case specifically 31 and 127. We can talk about this at the meeting. This is going to be, thank you, going to be to allow us to, the 2 boathouses that we have, to go ahead and lease those out going forward. We'll run it by our attorney, by the city attorney's office. So I would like a motion to accept that resolution. Motion by Heck.
Second by Chris.
Second by Hammond. All right, discussion. Any discussion on the motion? Do you have any comment, Paul?
No.
All right. All those in favor of putting the motion forward to ask the city council to approve the ordinance, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Motion passes. Done. Second action item. Given the issues that have happened with the oak trees in the city, it's made the news a bunch. We had a young man was hurt in the square in the French Quarter. There were 2 others uptown, or at least 2 that made the news, and then some others that the city started addressing all of theirs, the parks and parkways. I asked Brian to have our contractor come in, take a look, and assess all of them. He did. They came back with a cost to trim them all. We went back and looked. The last time we had any maintenance done on them was after Ida. Some trees were trimmed because of damage to Ida, but we haven't had, at least since this contractor's been on board since 10, he's never done it. And our current staff, our institutional knowledge, we don't know the last time. Maybe Katrina. So it calls for what's called a full trim, which means any dead wood trimmed 1 inch or larger, trimmed out, raising the canopy over the roads, much like they do here uptown on the parade routes and stuff. The cost of that estimate was, I believe, $180,000, Brian. That was $180,000. There was an additional $18,000 that we took out 5 trees, 3 palm trees and 2 oak trees that were dead. Were dying huge, when they cut them down, they had some nice pictures of, the middle of the oak tree hollowed out and everything. But the other ones were all assessed to be healthy, but he recommended this, what's called a full trim of the entire canopy. It's 120 trees, and it would be $180,000. I would like a motion to approve to have that done. Have a discussion.
Motion that we move forward with
A motion by Hammond. Second. Second for that motion, so we got discussion. A second from Heck. All right, Brian, you want to comment further? Want any other information on it? We'll go forward.
Like I said, the trees, we're not sure when they were last done, possibly in 2010. There was some work done, but we don't have records of what exactly was done at that time. After Ida, we did an emergency trim, what we called it, and it was just for safety. We inspect everything. We did pull out a couple of trees at that time. And at this time, we pulled out 2 oak trees that were severely damaged, and 3 palm trees which were dead. It hasn't happened in a long time. So deferred maintenance, there's been a lot of deferred maintenance around the park. We do have the funds to do it. So I think we should probably go ahead and do it.
Board members?
My question is, by taking this preemptive action, will it lower our liability? I mean, we're hearing about what's happening all around the city, and of course, we always have these reaction, things go on with actually taking this course of action, we probably will lower our liability as well. So,
I would agree. At this point, we've done like an emergency trim and then just had another inspection. But with the history of lack of maintenance, certainly leaves open some liability if something was missed. So certainly this full trim, as we call it, in the process, it will be in every tree, every canopy. They'll be able to see things that they wouldn't see from a visual inspection from the ground. So certainly it's due, it's time.
And I'll add, my directing Brian to have someone do an assessment on this was prompted by your question at the budget hearing about why is it, it was in last year's, but it wasn't in this year's. And I said, why don't we get a good assessment of it? Well, this contract has been the city contract, doing all the thousands of trees they have. And he gave an estimate to this board in 2010. That was never acted upon. So we go back in 2010, he's making recommendations for some trimming. So I think I would also advocate that I believe it's something that we really need to reverse.
So this is a one-time endeavor. Now, what we're talking about, are we going to attempt to negotiate a long-term contract with them for annual or biannual maintenance so that we don't incur such a huge bill like this?
His comment that the arborist said that if you do it to this extent, so there are different ones you can do. One is what they call 2-inch dead wood, so anything 2-inch or larger. This is a 1-inch or larger of dead wood, which is a more vigorous trimming. He said it's his belief, this was his exact words, that by doing this, you wouldn't have to do another pruning like this for 5 to 7 years.
Wow.
It's his belief. Part of the issue I have to add too is, I should have said this earlier, this drought that we've been having has put a tremendous stress on the trees, so it's exacerbating what you might normally do anyway.
So Brian, in his letter, he calls 5 to 7 years of routine pruning. Is that to the same degree as what we're talking about today?
Yeah.
So every 5 to 7 years, you're doing budgeting. This amount of money.
Yes.
Probably plus, like this cost.
And the pricing is on the city's contract.
We had talked in the past about if we did this now, could we stagger it and do $30,000 a year of work or whatever? Is that possible, or is it not really matter?
I mean, you could do that, I think, but they all need to be done now.
Yeah, I'm saying like we started it now, it's like maybe in 3 years we do, I don't know, we can talk about that in 3 years.
Right.
But
But they're all at the
it
same
seems
time.
the way we could like try to break up that $180,000, $200,000 into little bites every year. It could be
I mean, we can certainly set aside, keep it in our reserves.
But have it evaluated more often would be my,
I mean,
what I'd like to see y'all do.
every storm we have had them evaluated, just because it's required. Because this doesn't account for tropical storms or hurricanes. anytime there's a tropical storm, we have to inspect it.
I remember there was a gentleman here that spoke about a grant that was supposed to be coming to take care of the wild. Oh, he didn't get it?
I should wait till my car's full.
Oh, well, I don't.
No, the board member can address anybody and ask for a clarification, so.
But he
Was
didn't
it?
come, no, it wasn't him, it was another gentleman
Was Lee
from an
Henderson?
organization.
Oh,
Oh, he's from some type of organization that they were working with Lakeview overall with this particular area. And they were focusing on shrubbery, trees, and the landscape. And so I wondered if, because it was supposed to start in March. And so I don't know the long-term effect of that, but it would be something to consider if there's using grant funds to help with that. But maybe it's not, because I don't know. Do you know anything about
yes,
that?
the mayor's office had money available for trees, and I don't know if all of that got allocated, so there may be some reserves left over to see if they would be, going back about 4 months ago, whatever, that was publicized, so I don't remember all the rules, but it did list that there was money available for trying to plant trees. The city of New Orleans is only at like 17% tree canopy, and it started out about a year ago with a massive drive that we need to increase that percent tree canopy throughout the city. So the mayor did.
That was an effort to plant trees.
Right, but also I think,
Talking about trimming,
though,
not planting.
that's what I mean, I have to look at it to see if it said to take care of them. We are planting, we lost 2, so we are gonna start planting, so maybe there's a.
With consent from our administration, right, in coordination with our administration.
I'm just saying the rules, I don't know the rules, I have to look them up, but I can get back to you with what the guidelines were.
It was all inclusive. They were going to, perhaps trim and beautify, what he called it, beautification or something. And he's gonna plant as well as, I guess, maintain for a certain amount of time, but it was kind of laid out. And he was supposed to have some type of meeting with the whole group, and in March, it was supposed to happen. So, he had not been at the last meeting, so I don't know, and I can't remember his name.
That was at the quality of life meeting that occurred, we brought that up.
Yes, but then he came to the bigger meeting, and he spoke, and, he spoke about.
Brian, y'all know.
I can address that. if it's helpful.
Yes.
So it's actually, I was working with Lee Henderson. There was a grant for planting of trees, not maintenance.
Okay.
We were not awarded the grant.
Okay.
And so I think that's, that discussion's no longer.
I will note that the contractor, since we did have him pull the trees, he offered to donate oak trees, to pull out every one to replace, so we are planting new trees to replace. No cost.
Any more board members have any comments? Comment card?
Charles, do you have
Yes, I
another?
did. A couple things, I think Brian's point, I think it's a great idea that it seems like if trees grow, you're gonna probably need to trim them all at once. So having a budget where you put 20,000 in reserves every year so you can take care of it makes sense. The other thing that was on my mind was with the palm trees with the drought. Palm trees should be by the roots, by the main oak trees, because they suck out the water and they're fighting for the same nutrients. So perhaps when we're doing this, we might want to look at getting rid of some of those palm trees that are right next to the oak trees to make sure the oak trees can get enough nutrients and water during these drought years.
That's, I'm sorry, I'm done. I want to comment on that. I think in the very near future, we will have no more palm trees. There's an article in the Times Picayune in a couple of, the past 2 months. There's a blight going in every palm tree in the south is going to be dead in the next few years, they're saying. Nothing can be done. I mean, which is hard to believe in our day and age, right? You can't, but they're saying it's a thing that's happening across the whole south right now. And so,
Well, if we're going to be removing trees, maybe we want to remove them before they're dying.
exactly. I mean, I guess, that's the next logical step. I'm not saying go out and take them all out right now, but we need to monitor them, and as they start to be affected by this blight, we need to make sure that our arborist is addressing that. It's something for us to be aware of, for sure.
Yeah, it would be worth to check the tree people who are trimming, I talked to them, and The deal is that palm trees next to an oak tree harm the oak tree.
All right, we have a motion, any comment, Clark, I'm sorry.
Stan?
Thank you, Stan, we're with Friends of West End. I'm not commenting on the cost of the trees, that's something that we haven't studied, but I'll point out that Bayou Tree, who's the vendor, if I'm not mistaken, is the world-renowned expert on oak trees, and they have been maintaining Audubon Park, City Park, LSU campus, and the major oak trees in throughout Louisiana for decades. So we have a huge amount of trust that we have the right company working, and leave it to you to decide if the numbers are correct. But we're very confident that this is the best in the world, not only in the U.S., but world-renowned for oak trees.
Rick?
Yeah, it's a question whether, is, when you're trimming trees, are we just talking in the park, or are we talking across the street in the neutral ground?
All the ones on our property is what we're addressing.
Okay, what, and then they did trim them.
What about the ones on the levee board property?
No, I'm talking about in front of my house.
Oh, no, all the ones that are on.
Okay, because last time when they trimmed them in the park, and they said, oh, we're not gonna do anything on the other side of the street.
This is all the trees that are in our
Okay,
jurisdiction.
and then a couple of us, I know that maybe aren't here right now, including myself, we've got
You
some.
are here.
In spirit, Tim. Maybe not in mind, but we got a couple of limbs now that are banging into our handrails and stuff on the front porch. And we asked them before to cut them back, and they didn't do it. And then I asked if I could cut them back prior to you coming. I said, oh no, that's a violation.
You can, if the tree.
That's what I'm asking.
Damage your property, you can.
Yeah, or well, can we get it done during this process while the guys are there? I mean, even if I have to pay my share for that one limb, I will, but it'd be a lot cheaper.
When it's scheduled to do, that would be.
If we can
more
bring it
than
in.
they would do, yes.
Yeah.
Brian,
I'll-
I think it did state, if it's affected any structures, trims would be, trees would be trimmed back from structures.
Oh, good, okay.
Right, isn't that what they said?
Yeah.
Harry?
I think that's a great idea, and I'll pull in endorse having it done. I think it would make a dramatic difference, not only from the safety standpoint, but the appearance will really enhance everything. So I would ask that you approve it.
That's it.
All right, we have a motion to adjust the budget to approve full trim of approximately 120 oak trees and other trees on our property. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, we have the reports, financial report, committee reports, financial report. Please reflect what Mr. Strickweed is here. Financial report for November 2023. As of November 30th, Municipal Yacht Harbor has total assets of $17,527,300, with current assets of $3,704,261, and the bulk of which is in the form of cash, $3,494,400 in two accounts at JP Morgan Chase. Net fixed assets total $1,357,200. Other assets include leases receivable of $12,295,200, and deferred outflow of pension resources of $166,100. On the liability side, Municipal Yacht Harbor has total liabilities of $13,197,300, of which $432,600 are current liabilities, consisting mainly of accounts payable and accrued expenses of $106,400, accrued annual leave and accrued annual sick leave of $141,200, and unearned revenue of $168,000. Long-term liabilities consisted of net pension liability of $496,100 and $12,268,700 for deferred inflow of long-term leases. That leaves Municipal Yacht Harbor with a total equity of $4,330,000, of which $3,830,000 is unrestricted net assets for the month of November. Municipal Yacht Harbor had revenues of $183,900 and operating expenses of $236,800, which resulted in a net loss of $52,900. Year-to-date revenues are $2,035,500 with total expenses of $1,706,800, resulting in a year-to-date profit of $328,700. The harbor's occupancy is 95%. There are only a few slip tenants who will not be renewing their lease in 2024. I'd like a motion to accept the financial report. Motion by Heck, second by Hammond. Any comments from the many board members?
And the net loss of $52,902.
That's the difference between what we spent and what we took in for this month. So month net, see, for the year, it's a net
So is that
increase of 328. This month it's less. Brian, do you have a reason why it's less this month? So it's net, it is positive for the whole year, why this month is less?
Yeah, we had quite a few unusual expenses. They were emailed out to the board by Wayne. I can go over them now if you'd like.
One of which we've been 18,000 for trees, I'm assuming.
No one has been paid
We
yet.
haven't paid yet.
We had a 5-year inspection on the drop fire system on the dock, over 10,000. There's a major water leak repair of over 10,000 on the dock. Sign graphics that we for the building. Legal fees with respect to the lawsuit regarding Sherlock. It was substantial, about 20,000. And legal fees for stone pigment, which I'll review the very report. So we just had a lot more expenses than typically. They were not typical operating expenses.
Comment cards?
Karen?
Wait,
Right there.
All right. Motion is on the floor to accept the financial report. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Accept the financial report. Director's report, Brian, please.
An update on the Sailing Center, which I received yesterday, so the board did not hear, is that they will be driving test files Friday, December 15th. They plan to have vibration monitoring in place. We will make sure that it's located in the appropriate position. And then once the test piling is done, they are hoping to schedule the complete file driving to start in about 2 weeks. All right, staff, we have 2 current ground patrol officers, currently looking for a third. The other ground patrol department of the state poached the guy that we were going to hire. So, fishing pier, no update. Sale of boat houses, we went through. We've had some issues that we were made aware of. Boathouse 127 regarding entrance. So I'm planning on having a contractor take a look at that issue and secure it. And then there's some plumbing questions. And Tim inspected it. He has a background in that. Rather than talk on that. There were 2 manholes near the Sailing Center parking lot that were found to be full sewer manholes. Sewage and Water Board were notified on site. They had an inspector, and I reported it as well. West End Park, Breakwater Park, we're continuing the site upgrades. One note which would help us is the city completed RFPs. I guess there are, I forgot the terminology, but they went out to bid for trade work throughout the whole city because they're having property issues as well. Those ended yesterday or today. So whoever awarded those, we hope to utilize those contracts so we don't have to go out to bid for all our stuff individually. So that should be happening soon. And those are for emergency repairs and upgrades. Pond and parking pad permit issues. I met with the tax assessor's office. They asked to have basically our chain of title, as it is, to help fix their map, to show that we are managing this area. I sent them everything, they responded and said that everything was great, they would get on it. They are taking, give them a few weeks to be able to do that, and that will help any permitting issues that we've been having. And also the Department of Real Estate Records is working on a map of their own for city-owned property, which will also help clear up any issues. Parking lot rental, we're putting together an RFP for towing so that we can enforce illegally parked vehicles. I have secured it with some better quality locks, put additional no trespassing signs up. I'll add some more. Marina, there's no Wi-Fi update, so the poles, lease renewals are on the way. And 2 lane docks have been installed, are currently being used. And then from the last month's quality of life, I did make a request for additional one-way sign by the entrance. And I had Sean, our maintenance worker, clean out a bunch of the drains around the park, basically surface area to help with drainage. They're the fall and when coming in, there's a lot of leaves, so we will do that. And then I'm planning on renting a scissor lift to go deal with the lights in the boat launch. There's a bass pro cell and one in his house. So I hope to do that this week. It might be pushed to next week. And then I'm working on a meeting tomorrow for the point parking improvements. And some other striping around it. So I'm meeting with the engineer that we approved in September. That's tomorrow. So we'll be moving on that stuff. West End development expenses. This month we had 6,330, and there was an additional payment for the experts. That's something that higher than 36,646. Total West End development expenses for the year is $62,996.
Board members, any questions?
Will we get a report or just an update of what's happening with the zone and HR? Is that being done at the moment?
We don't have any, I don't have any update on it. You have any?
No, there'll be something forthcoming, but nothing yet right now. I mean, they've been keeping me in the loop of what they've been working on. We would be meetings.
Oh, okay.
I would be meetings with them. So we're moving forward, but there isn't anything to report at this moment. They're working on a lot of things, but there'll be something coming.
Okay, do you think it will be something that will, when they report, will they be reporting to the board? Or is this, whatever that comes out, is it something that will be a part of what they share with you and maybe you share with us in the director's report? Or is it, will they be coming to us? Just trying to figure out, where they are, what's going on, and, the progress of everything.
So, the public aspect of the report and the process is slowed down because of the elections in Jefferson Parish. And this is the time of the year, so from the city council and the Jefferson Parish side, essentially there's a wait until we can get everything everything aligned, all the ducks in a row, get everybody up to speed before we start doing, public meetings and processes for the background stuff they are working on, and letting you know that they've been working on it.
I think that, since you're meeting with them weekly, and we have the board meetings monthly, then maybe we could have a synopsis of those meetings, shared with us, to kind of keep us too. I know a lot of progression because of the election, but I could imagine in January that we should be picking up elections are over, and then we only this is a recommendation, and that's what board can kind of, but making it one of the items so that we're constantly knowing what's happening, what's going on, what, you know, what's the next step. So it's not, you know, the 6 month time when you come in and now we get all this information, that's some questions. Some of that you can kind of, you or you can share some things with us and we can ask questions for you, for them, since it's a weekly meeting. I feel like I'm not, we're not in the loop, especially if you leave with them. Just a suggestion.
So Brian, why don't you talk to them at your next meeting, talk to them about what information they have that they can share with the board, as to what progress they're doing. I mean, I know from doing previous developments, they're probably working on market studies and demographics, right? You know, how many people, what income within so many, 1 mile of this location, 2 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles, right? All that kind of stuff. I'm assuming that's what, hopefully that's what they're doing, right? In a study.
They are.
And so, see what they have that they can start sharing. I mean, we'd like to have had a public meeting early, but we know why we didn't. And I know what Brian just said, that they are trying to brief the new council member in Jefferson Parish on it. So, yeah, see what they have, and if they can get a report, I don't know if they want to come, or some agents to come, they next month's meeting, give us a break, if not, they give you something that you can bring to us, give us an update as to where they are.
I mean, if anything, I can certainly give you general update to say this is what's being worked on.
Okay.
Brian, what's the phase 1 total? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
I'm trying to see the percentage of all the first phase.
Any other board members? How many cards?
Here,
I'll wait.
that's it.
All right. Brian, on that test pile driving, because someone had approached us before the meeting about it, make sure that they're putting that on the right side, the correct side of the seawall. You know, the wall, on the boathouse side.
Yeah.
That's for monitoring. Because of issues that happened the last time that was constructed. All right. The other thing I would say, Brian, I mean, the rent and the scissors lift, is that something we could regularly use, and is it worthwhile investing in something like that, or no? Just a thought, I'm not asking, you don't have, it's rhetorical, that's a good point, just, you might wanna look into it, whether it's worth, you know, what it costs to rent. I know we get it on the fire department, we want to use it so often, and we're renting it so regularly, we found one, actually used one, but, you know, we in very good shape, we tested and everything, and we just want to find one, a little trail. You know, we had 35 facilities, but with all the light poles and stuff, something to think about. All
I
right,
mean, you can rent one for $300.
Yeah.
That's a lot of.
okay, just a thought, it's not economically, it doesn't make sense, and then we're gonna find a place to store it. All right, thank you very much. All right, Rules and Standards Committee did not meet. I do not have anything on the unfinished business, and I do not have anything additional on economic redevelopment at this point. Quality of Life Committee did not meet this month. We did talk about, Brian did talk about some of the items that came up at last month's meeting, and that he has addressed.
We did have, I did make this portion of it. We did have the bylaw discussion.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry. Yes, bylaws would come under unfinished business. The bylaw committee has not met. We asked everybody to please provide any input if you had anything after reviewing them. I did receive some comments, some suggestions from Keith Amaker, that when the committee meets, we will consider those. Thank you, Keith, for submitting those. And I'd ask everybody, you know, we're going to try and call the meeting. With the holidays, it's going to be tough, but before the next board meeting, we will have a bylaws committee meeting, so hopefully we can come to the next meeting with suggestions on the bylaws. So if you have any input from reviewing them, please submit that to the administrative staff and to anybody else on me, in particular on the, since I'm chairing that committee, which is to remind everybody of the executive board, the executive members of the board, please submit, and we'll have discussion on it and come back and suggest, the committee will come back and suggestions on bylaw changes.
Look, well, I feel like we didn't meet, but I remember from the last time, and I didn't see it in your report about pressure washing or something like that. Is that done? That could have been a couple of weeks ago.
No, we talked about it at the last board meeting, that it is on the list, showing our maintenance guy to get to. We're not busy doing other stuff, but that it is something they organize. Trying to get on your action items, and to do. But we did have the last meeting last month, I think, out of town, but we did discuss it in a committee meeting and then talk about it in this meeting. Thank you. All right.
We have a public comment for economic development.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Actually, the budget meeting, actually, Councilman Jeruso had said, as I listened to the tape, about not having any more meetings. So I don't know, we talked about having those meetings where there'd be input into HRNA. I don't know if his comments said that you might not be putting a hold on those things or not. So he said that back at the November during the budget meeting. And then one of the things that came up also is the feasibility study from 2017 that was done by the Regional Planning Commission assumed that the infrastructure was adequate for anything that's going to go on out there. And we were finding out recently about potentially asbestos in the concrete pipes. So if the infrastructure had been a question that had been asked 6 months ago, if we had enough infrastructure. But if HRNA needs to, we talked about what a developer expertise would need. Well, maybe they need expertise in dealing with asbestos for the project. So if I don't know if we're going to have that meeting or not, but something to relay to them is the situation we have with our pipes. They were put in the 30s. And if you Google asbestos concrete water pipes, you'll see that that was a standard process. As long as you let it sit, it's fine. If you start opening it up, you've got problems. So I wanted to share those comments.
Any development is going to require environmental studies and environmental consultants.
I was just, again,
No,
It's good to bring up.
And we'll make sure that they care about seeing that it will be required.
I didn't like the previous one said that everything was assumed to be fine, and that's really might not be the case.
And Karen,
I'll wait.
that's it.
Any other comment, Bob?
That's it.
Quality of life, I know I was moving very quickly. Any other comments on quality of life? Any board members, any comment, Bob, on quality of life?
You waiting?
Well, no.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, we actually did put up a couple of temporary portable pickleball courts out there this weekend and played pickleball out in the parking lot. And it was good, and somebody came up with a suggestion that bocce ball might be an idea to put out there as well. I did I've been traveling a lot lately to Little Italy's across America. In Sacramento, they have a phenomenal outdoor bocce ball set up in their Little Italy. So that's an idea that I wanted to suggest for that area. We talked about bike rentals and everything. So just let you guys know, we did have a tournament.
How long? Well, you played strong.
Karen?
I just want to make one comment, and we've talked about it before. I know we didn't get a chance. This came up just over the weekend. Talk about the high-intensity lights that are being used now and being more and more common. The people put them up, and maybe they want them in their boathouse, over their slip. But they don't realize how far they extend out. And on Saturday night at the boat parade, there were two extremely bright, high-intensity lights on, with Dr. Oyer's boathouse, or the fire boathouse, that was shining out into the harbor, and it absolutely blinded anybody coming in. Now, I've never seen them up before, but the fact is, I think this board, and we'll talk about it, should consider a policy that these high-intensity lights cannot be used unless they are confined within the scope of someone's own property, not extending out. Because the person putting it does not realize how much they intrude on somebody else and how dangerous. But these two absolutely blinded you coming in, and it's a miracle that, well, it's always a miracle that there's not a lot of bumping in the boat. But in this particular situation, with my captain running the boat. Kyle.
Somebody's making
That's
that
a,
wait.
that's a good point.
You also want to keep them within your confines of your boathouse.
Any comments towards the board, please? Good point, Mr. Gucci, and I think it's something we need to maybe address in our rules for both how that light is, including our own, right, with referencing the boat light, right, that the lights don't interfere or in this case, actually blinding somebody who's trying to operate a vehicle.
You know, we had some really, really strong winds, and it could have been that it pushed the light forward some. And the winds were really
Yes,
good.
the winds came long after. This was at the beginning.
Guys, please address comments to the board, please,
Sorry.
back and forth. All right, I think it is a valid point. I mean, I'm not a boat operator, but it certainly makes sense. People trying to operate boats in darkness and have a light would prevent them from going. Right, I'll talk a little bit here. Any other comment cards?
That's it.
Okay. Security and Safety Committee.
Yes, we had 3 issues come up in the meeting. First of all, apologize for my part in the meeting, everyone that attended. The first issue is signage. Friends of West End, they wanted to come up with some signage to help out the West End area. And as we mentioned in the last meeting, we wanted to make sure that the board was okay with signage, additional signs to make people aware of what's going on with actual security cameras, things like that, to try and make people aware that they're going to be filmed and that there's going to be safety filming here in the actual dock area. The second thing was speeding in the area. People were concerned that going over to the actual point, people were not aware that the point was closed or would be closed and they were speeding back and forth. So they were requesting that there would be signage indicating like the right speed limit or something that would flash and tell people when they're speeding. That was another issue that was mentioned in the And finally, it was my understanding there was quite a bit of discussion on some, what do we call them, floating docks, and removing those docks in a timely fashion in the event that there was an actual tropical, what type of storm warning is a 48-hour window?
Hurricane warning, tropical warning, 48 hours, bar.
We decided that at this point we would mention in the regular meeting, but we need to do more investigation so that we can ascertain whether there will be a problem or not in the actual, I guess, hurricane plan. So that is the nuts and bolts of the actual safety.
The signage on the cameras, that's what we talked about last time, and going in conjunction with the Restaurant Association and their friends.
Yes.
And we don't have any speed limit signs anywhere on our property?
I'm sure we do, but there's at least one. Yeah, there's one.
That is something that probably would be worthwhile.
We could request, I can request.
Yeah, if we get that from off, even if we get them from the city sign shop and, install them, it's not install them, but just ask them to do it, might take minutes. So, might be a bad idea. The, Easy Dock, Brian, I don't know if you want to address it now or do any more homework on it. I know the contract that allowed Tulane to put those in also has language that requires them to remove them in a storm. Is that correct?
Yes.
there's a document that was signed between Tulane and, I guess, Brian. It says, in the event of a tropical warning, which is 48 hours before tropical force winds, that's 2 days, that they remove the easy docks and remove the vessels. And I'm just wondering whether that's sufficient time to do that.
So they check into that and see what the time frame is for them to be able to do that. I know from living the life of emergency preparedness for storms, you don't really get much more time than that. I mean, so, you know, we'd like to get we need 96 hours, just as an example, 96 hours to evacuate the city. You know, 96 hours between the Atlantic. So, but you know, if we could get more time, but I think 48 hours, they need to make sure that they can remove.
I mean, they told me they could.
Okay. I would say every hurricane season, we need to reiterate that with them.
Brian, did they explain to you how they were gonna do it?
They informed me that they had the entire Tulane maintenance staff that will be trained on doing the process.
So you don't foresee any problems with executing it in 48 hours?
It's one of those things that if, before the next storm, certainly I would make sure that they're prepared. And if they don't, then they lose their lease can be canceled. You know, they have strong incentive to do it.
Yeah, there's some language in that document that implies they retain liability. Would you interpret that as that if they did remove them and they damaged our infrastructure, that they'd be responsible for it legally?
I mean, yeah, that's all in our lease, so yes.
I have a technical question, and right now at this meeting, I would just say it might be rhetorical, but it might be worthwhile talking about. If a storm comes in, and we have somebody with a yacht, 50-foot yacht tied to a dock, and they don't remove it, what happens? It floats with the floating dock up and down, right? They tie off in a certain way?
Yeah, the marine attendants are required to follow minimum tying.
So what would our manufacturer, as I said, it's rhetorical at this point, what would our manufacturer of the docks, who we use as our consultant on our docks, say, if they didn't get removed, what do we anticipate happening if they tie them off like the 50-foot yacht and they float, right? So they float up with our floating dock and float back down theoretically? I mean, is that
Yes.
Okay. And I'm not saying that's what we want, but, you know, we're talking worst case scenario. If they misbehave and don't do what they're supposed to do,
So if
do we come out there with a saw and have our maintenance guy go out there and cut them loose and drag them somewhere else, you know?
So if you have,
Tie them off.
inherently there's a problem because the positive buoyancy of the dock is fixed and the buoyancy level of any vessel tied to it is going to be dependent on a number of things like how much fuel is on board, how many stores is on board, is there any people on board, so what does it displace? What's its reserve buoyancy? And so if you have a vessel that's double moored against a floating pier and you receive tropical force winds, inevitably, both vessels are going to react to a certain point when the lines will become the rubber band that causes something to give. If you're lucky, maybe the lines give and the boat gives away. If you're unlucky, maybe the boat ends up on top of crushing the pier. So yeah, there's two different inherently buoyant objects lashed together and the forces of nature will win sooner or later. That's self-evident.
That's why I upset. I think
That's why we get underway.
it's worth, yeah, it's worth checking with the consultant. I mean,
Yeah,
again, manufacturer.
we don't
But,
require
and
the boats to get released.
Keep Tulane on a short leash. I'm just saying, you know, let's not wait for the day. So make sure that we're covering our bases on. Safety and Security Committee, any board members, any other comments? Comment cards?
Here.
Oh, wait.
Only got one more item. I'm sorry. All right. So that's the last Safety and Security Committee. Thank you for your report. The last item on our agenda is the board, I need a motion to go into executive session to discuss, the ongoing litigation with with Spurlock, the Spurlock lawsuit. I would like a motion to do that. Before I get that motion, Mr. Goodchin, is it in relation to this item that you want to make a comment? Because we get ready to go into executive session.
No, I
You don't have any other?
no, sir.
Okay, fine, I didn't want to, because everybody's gonna have to leave. So wait, motion to go into executive session to discuss legal matters.
Move to enter executive session.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. Brian, is this, I'm looking for the agenda right now. Is this on the agenda?
Yeah, reserve right to.
It's the right to go into executive session, but I'm sorry. I need a motion to add, should have done it at the start, to add to the agenda to discuss our current lawsuit.
Executive session.
It's on there.
Okay. Sorry. All right, yeah. I'll get a motion for that. All right, motion to go into executive session, to discuss legal matters. Discuss the current lawsuit. Heck, second? Watkins. Roger Watkins. Who knows Roger is present, thank you. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, we're gonna go into executive session. You're welcome to stay around, folks, but I imagine when we come out, things we might have tamed to be able to have something in executive session that requires action. I'm not sure that we will. Thank you very much. Happy holidays and Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas to all of y'all. Thank you very much.
God bless us everyone.
Internet parade is creating one hell of a wave. I don't know who that might have came flying by. We were sitting out at the end of the day.
We have no action items coming out of the executive session. We're now out of executive session.
When is he presenting this?
Oh, I'm sorry, announce the next meeting. Go ahead. Ask the question.
When is he presenting this? You said he was filing. So when is it?
Within the next
2 weeks.
and that's just to get us all.
The next meeting is the 9th, I believe. Is that correct? Let me get to my minutes here. Yes, January 9th at this location. Tuesday, January 9th, the next meeting. All right, now a motion to adjourn is in order. Adjourn. Hammond, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very, very much. Have any
I have a